Good morning, everybody. Arkansas Minuteman 0864 here. It is fine morning in Arkansas. It is a nice, balmy 48 degrees. Feels like 43 or 44 out here this morning. It is still spitting rain. It is cloudy. The wind is blowing somewhere between 15 and gust up to 35 mile an hour. So it's, to some of y'all, you would say that would be a bit nippy. I say it's ideal weather. But anyway, on to the topic. Welcome to part 3 of Those Who Properly Prepare Survive. Today we're going to cover a variety of topics. We're going to hit on medical a little bit. We're going to hit on tools a little bit more. We're going to hit on root cellars a little bit more. And we'll dabble in a few other topics because I got a few minutes to talk to you all. I'm heading into town to get a replacement title to my truck since apparently I lost the title from the bank. They sent it to me. So, but anyway, on to what we're here for. Let's talk about medical first. Medical is going to be one of your most important items that you need to know and have on hand. Everyone needs to set up a medical bag, and it needs to carry a variety of items, and we'll get to that in a minute. But most importantly is everyone needs to go and take a basic first aid class and an advanced first aid class, and also CPR, and learn how to do the Heimlich maneuver in order to dislodge something that is in somebody's throat and they're choking to death on it. That is the very basic foundation of your first aid. You can sit there and have all the first aid books you want. You can sit there, you can read the books all you want, but until you actually do the hands-on stuff, you're more than likely not going to fully grasp the fundamentals on how things are done and how to do things. And if you get a really good medical class in basic and advanced first aid, they will have simulators that will go and set you up to deal with very real life-looking situations. They've got them now where you got a limb that's spurting blood. You're told to control the bleeding before the patient bleeds out. Remember, that patient's got the rest of their life, about a minute or two at the most, for you to be able to control the bleeding and get it slowed down and stopped. They also will teach you how to put on those special band-aids that you put over severe cuts, that you pull them, and they add like a type of suture to close the wound up to also help control bleeding. They will teach you how to go into really bad wounds and take the combat gauze with the blood control medicine in it that helps clot the blood and stop bleeding. You'll learn how to go in and pack that into a wound and then put a pressure direction on top of that, and then go and you cinch it down tight with another tourniquet or ace wrap or something like that. They'll teach you how to properly put on a tourniquet also. Now when it comes to all of this, if you're one that's queasy of stomach, you got a choice. You either get over it and go through and do it, or you pack a first aid kit and send some family member to it and pray to God they remember what to do. But the question is, you're getting out in the big wild blue yonder out there by yourself, and you hurt yourself. Now you got a gash where you let the axe hit the wood and bounce off and go into the calf of your leg. You need to pack it. What are you going to do? Sit there and faint inside of your own blood, potentially bleed out, because you can't handle it, to be able to fix yourself, to maybe, just maybe, be able to get out and get some help. Because where I'm at, you ain't getting on the cell phone calling no help, but there ain't no cell service around here. Not for 15, 20 minutes drive. Unless you go one direction, you can be there in about 5 minutes. But 5 minutes, you can be bled out if you hit a main artery in your leg. Now, when it comes down to your first aid kit, that is going to be pretty much dependent on what you feel like you need or may need. But the very basics is a first aid kit, a good one. And we're not talking about an IFAC. We're talking about one that's like a bag you keep in the car, keep in your house, something like that. You should have anywhere from 4 to 6 tourniquets in it. You want 2 to 4 chest seals in it. And I say 2 to 4 because most of the time, especially if you're shot, you're going to have an entrance wound and an exit wound, and you're going to need a chest seal to put on both of them. And you may not have something that you can go and put on it yourself. Now, if you're shot in the chest and it comes out your back, now you got a little bit of a problem because chances are you're not going to be able to put a seal on your back. I don't know many people that are limber enough they can reach around and go and put a seal on their back. If it is a puncture wound to the front, then you can put a seal on it yourself. The other items that I would stock in there would be some of that, what do they call it? Krylex, that stretchy stuff like they put around your elbow and your arm when they draw blood out of you and put a cotton ball underneath it. You're going to want, I would put a variety of sizes in there from 2 inches up to at least 4 inches. You might want a 6 inch. Especially if you're putting a chest seal on, because you might want it to wrap around at least the backside of it. You can't really wrap the front because you got to leave a corner open so that the air can get out. And you'll have other cases that you'll need a 6 inch. So you might want to consider 6 inch, but at least 4 inch. You're going to want sterile 4x4s. You may want some sterile 2x2s. You also can get some, you don't have to have all sterile gauze in there. If you get rolls of gauze, you can get the non-sterile, because you're going to put the sterile 2x2 or 4x4 over the wound, and then you can take the non-sterile and you can wrap it over the top of that, and it'll be protected, because you're just using that gauze to hold the other gauze in place. You're going to want Band-Aids in there for boo-boos. You're going to want Neosporin in there for boo-boos. You're going to want an eye injury kit in there that's got the medicine to put in your eyes, the patch to go over your eyes, gauze to go over it. You're going to want the nasal airway that you can lube up with KY jelly, and you may want to get a tube of KY jelly and use that for the nasal insert for an airway. I wouldn't recommend getting the ones that go down the throat, because most people are not trained in inputting one of those down somebody's mouth. Do not put anything in your kit that you are not properly trained for and or certified to do. Because if you do, and you go use it, and you screw up, and you hurt somebody, Oh yeah, you're trying to save the life. You probably did save the life, but you caused additional injury. And it's almost assured that nowadays, with these liberal idiots out here, they're going to take you before a liberal judge, and you're going to lose your ass in court on a lawsuit. Everything you've worked for now belongs to somebody else. So the best advice to give you is don't do it. If you don't do it, you won't be tempted to do it because you can't do it because you ain't got it. Some other stuff that I would recommend in there is combat gauze for packing deep wounds. I don't know if you can even find the powdered form of blood clot anymore. I think it's all now embedded in gauze and whatnot. But if you can still find some of that quick clot for a clot blood, I'd pick up some packages of that also and put that in there too. What else would I put in there? Oh, those suture-like I call them suture-like band-aids, but they stick on either side of a bad cut, and you pull them, and it pulls the wound closed, so it's closed together to help stop and slow down the bleeding. I would put that in there also. And a lot of people are going to disagree with this, but I would put at least one SAM splint in there. SAM splints are small. They fold up to almost nothing. They weigh almost nothing. And if you got like a broke bone, broke ankle, or broke wrist, or something like that, they're great for splinting it because you may not be able to find anything that you can readily use to use as a splint on a broke limb or anything like that. Now, I would also get me a small container, and I would put me like some 91% alcohol in it and seal that up, because you can use that for like pouring on your hands, disinfect your hands before working on somebody. You can use it to clean up your hands after you work on them and get the blood off of you. And speaking of that, that's another item you need. You need to put several pairs of nitrile gloves in your kit, and try to make sure you use those before you start working on anybody, because yeah, they may be your best friend, but they may not tell you everything, and they may have HIV and just ain't ever told you about it. Now you go mess with them, you got a cut on your hand or something, their blood gets into that cut, bam, next time you go to the doctor and they do blood work, they come back and go, oh, Mr. Jones, you tested positive for HIV. Then you're going to be sitting there going, oh shit, where'd I get that? Then it's going to dawn on you. I worked on Mr. Jones the other day, and I got his blood on me. That's the only way I could have got it. Unless you're doing something behind your wife you ain't supposed to be doing. So if you do that, you pretty much got a pretty good basic first aid kit right there. Then you can add to it whatever you think you might need. But just don't go hog wild on it. I mean, if you want a great big size bag like one of those Black Hawk medical bags or military issued M5 bag, you know, something like that, they're great for the house. They're great to have in a car. And I'm working on getting mine repacked now to put in my truck. So I've got one in here now, but it's just a small combat lifesaver bag. And I got to go through that and pull some stuff out that's expired. So, but that will give you a good basic first aid kit to have in your vehicle, in your car. I mean, if you do like an M3 bag, which is pretty small, you can actually strap that to a rucksack, and it ain't that bad to carry. So, with that gives you a good starting point to start working on your first aid. Now, you can also go out there and you can get books. Go to the Red Cross. They got first aid books out there. You can pick that up and then go take the first aid training through the Red Cross. They got a first aid basic and a first aid advanced course you can take. and go take them both. It'll be worth your time. You can also pick up like the Ranger Medical Handbook and get the Special Forces Medical Handbook, and you can pick up all kinds of military field manuals on medical. Now, a lot of them are going to be way above your head, but it also gives you a lot of good read material, good advice. It also gives you a lot of symptoms of various diseases around. So if somebody in your tribe gets sick, and all of a sudden they're breaking out in little black spots all over, you can look it up and go, oh crap, he got bubonic plague, aka the Black Death. Are you going to be able to treat it? Probably not. But the rest of you going to come down with it? That's questionable. So get out there and find you some books, and when I do the video on books, I'll include books on medical also. So there you go. So the next thing we're going to talk about is more about tools. I talked about various tools you needed. A felling axe or two. You need like a splitting axe or a maul for splitting your wood. You need wedges. If you're going to like try to build like a log building of some type, log house, log barn, something like that, you're going to want like a broad axe. There's another axe that they use for shaving off, and I can't remember the name of it. When I do up my article on Substack, I'll do some research and get these names for you. But they got hand tools that you sit down and I think it's called a drafting cutter. But it's like a long blade with a handle on each end. And you sit down on the log and you actually take it and you pull it back and it shaves wood off to flatten the log out. So that way when you start stacking them, they stack better. You also need a smaller axe for like cutting notches in logs if that's what you're doing with it. And for splitting smaller wood for like kindling and whatnot. But then another thing you need to do is look at racing bits and various size bits for it, so you can hand drill holes into different things. And you need to sit down and learn how to hand carve like wood pegs for putting the different boards and logs together and hold them in place. And all that. And don't forget regular hand tools, screwdrivers, wrenches, hammers, socket sets, pull bars, crowbars. I mean, you need a good general, basically a good general mechanic's toolkit so that you can work on items that you need to work on, like your vehicle, your generator, things like that, and keep them running as long as you can. Which we all know at some point they're going to quit running because fuel's going to run out, parts are going to run out. Things like that. And like I said, the first in my Substack article on those items, you need to go buy you up a stockage of spare parts and keep on hand. And so get you a good toolkit together. Make it Pioneer tools, make it mechanical tools, and all that kind of stuff. Now the last thing we'll briefly touch on again is root cellars. And on root cellars, that's what our forefathers used way back in the day as a refrigeration system. They kept all their vegetables and a lot of their meat in there. They would keep it in. Their meat would usually be put into barrels and covered all with salt and all of that. But inside of a good root cellar, if you get it built right, it's going to be 8 foot, 10 foot deep. It's going to yearly average will be between 50 and 60 degrees year round, so nothing will freeze and yet nothing will get overly warm and start to spoil. You can also use this shelter as an emergency shelter in the event of a tornado or something if you build it correctly. You can also go in there and put you a well in there. If you've got like a high water content level, where you can drop, say, a 20, 30 foot well in there and be able to get water out of the ground that you can take and then filter and purify, then you can do that. That way, if you're down in there, you got water. And it gives you a good place to stock a lot of your stockpile at, especially your food stores and whatnot. And you can get online and you can find diagrams on how to build a root cellar. And I'm actually starting to look in and looking at plans and figuring out where I can put one at in my property, and I'm trying to decide whether I'm gonna pour it with concrete and put concrete walls on it and then put a top on it and then go and drop about 6 to 8 foot of dirt on top of that. And if I do that, then I'm also going to put me a Israeli Defense nuclear, biological, chemical, radiological filtration vent system on it, so that if I have to go in there and shut it up, I can shut it up. So yeah, there's you some things. So now let's talk real quickly about, and I'll go more in depth on this one in another video, home defense tactics and strategies. On one of my YouTube videos I did, the last one, I had one gentleman out there go, I'm not bugging out, it's better to stay in place because you got your food, you got your ammo, you got your reloading supplies, you got everything that you need there. And he stated that I'm going down on the first floor of my house and I'm gonna just totally disrupt it and just make it a muck, basically, to dissuade anybody from coming into the house and starting to plunder around. And I wrote back to him after a couple of days of thinking about it, because the last thing he said was, I'm going and I'm gonna hold the high ground. Okay. Tactic wise, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. It sounds solid. Strategy wise, it is about a piss poor plan. And here's why. As I told him, and I told him the same thing, strategy wise is not a good solid plan. Here's why. First thing you have to remember is the old rule that one man's junk or trash is another man's treasure. People are going to go in there and they're going to look around and they're going to be looking to see what you left behind things. And they're going to find stuff you left down there that they need or they want, and they're going to take it. But then they're going to then go and move upstairs and see what else you left behind. Now you're trapped upstairs, because I have not seen many houses that is 2 stories or above that has an egress pathway out of the second or above floors, other than throwing a rope out the window or tying sheets together and throwing out the window, or having one of those first alert ladder systems that hooks on the windowsill that you can climb down to get out of the second, third, or fourth floor. And after a while, you get high enough up, you just ain't got nothing long enough to reach it. So, and most houses you don't even find many 3-story houses anymore. But that'd probably be about the highest house you'll find. Now, here's what's going to happen. They're going to go upstairs, and I'm going to use him as an example. He's going to be holed up upstairs on the second floor. They're going to come up. He's going to take a pop shot at them. They're going to fall back down the stairs. Now they know where you're at, and you've pissed them off. Now, if I was that guy that you just took a pop shot at, here's what I would do. I'd back out. I'd go downstairs, and everything you left down there that was flammable and could burn, I would start piling all that stuff up in front of every window, every door, on the first floor. And then I'd go put piles throughout the middle of the house too. And then I would go in there and I'd set all of that on fire. And here's the problem. You might be all right if it's one person, because they can't watch all four sides of the house. But what if they got their tribe with them? They're in a mutually assisted group or a community group. I might tell my people, hey, go surround the four sides of the house, watch all the windows, and watch for them. You do that, now they're going to catch you coming out. Because now they're going to figure, hey, you got something upstairs worth having. As you climb out the window, guess what they're going to do? They're going to start taking pop shots at you. You can't hang on to a rope or a ladder or a line of sheets and try to shoot at the same time. It ain't going to happen. Now, am I condoning this? No, I'm not condoning this. So YouTube, don't go crazy on me. Oh, no, I'm not saying that. This is a what-if hypothetical situation. All right, now the other thing you got to think about, what do you have a family? If you're a single guy, fine. You do what you want to do. But if you got a family, you got to think about this. All right, they've set the bottom floor of the house on fire. You can't go downstairs. Smoke's coming upstairs. It's getting to be choking on you. All right. Now, can you to climb down a rope or climb down a ladder or climb down sheets or something like that? You got to have a pretty good amount of upper body strength, because the rope is going to be moving. Those ladders from First Alert, they move because they're like a rope or a chain ladder, so they're not staying still. And everybody's going to be stressed out. Everybody's going to be scared. They're going to be trying to be moving as quick as they can to get out of there. So the question you got is, your wife, she got upper body strength that she'll be able to do it. Your kids, if you got any kids, are they able to get out that way? What if you got infants? How are you going to get them out? Because it's going to be next to impossible to climb down a rope or a ladder while holding a child, especially something that's going to be moving around and wiggling. You're already going to be unstable enough. Now you add an infant in your arm. Now you got another problem that you got to worry about. Do you have any elderly parents or grandparents or other family members, or maybe a neighbor that's staying with you? Can they climb down that? If not, how you going to get them out? So you see where that's going right there. And as I said, they're going to stand outside, and as everybody's trying to climb down, they're going to start taking pop shots at you. Now, here's the thing. You got people out there that will be like, take the man out, take the kids out, but let the wife get down. We're going to take her captive. She just now become our favorite play toy at night when we get back to camp. And they're going to play with your wife, and they're going to rape her and torture her until they tire of her, and then they're going to dismiss her also. So that is not a good strategy. You need to go and look at the situation. Is this a situation that I have dealt with before, that I have stayed at home and I've weathered through it? Maybe it was a natural disaster, maybe it was a hurricane, maybe it was just riots like is going on now, but going on down into downtown to populated cities. They're not spreading out in the rural area. Things like that. You need to set up, like on your driveway, you need to set up driveway alarms, so anybody walking by, you put out sensor motions. Yeah, you'll get a lot of false alarms, deer, whatnot walking by, but better to have to get up and go see what it is than it'll walk by and you finally ignore it, and then all of a sudden somebody you don't want at your door. You need to set up trail cams, or if you're in an area where you've got cell service, which unfortunately I don't, you need to set up trail cams with cellular service all around your property on all possible avenues of approach, so that you'll get notices on your cell phone when somebody's on your property and coming up an avenue of approach. That gives you time to react. It gives you time to prepare. It turns the table on them. From them having the surprise and the drop on you, you turn around and now have the surprise and you drop on them. So think your strategies out. Think your tactics out. One book that I'm going to be showing in a video coming up here soon, it may be the next one. It might be. I may just do that as part 5 of this series. Is one written by a Navy SEAL. He's got all kinds of strategies and tactics and things that you can do, to include how to make your house be less noticeable and less open to people just wandering in and decide they want to go plundering around into your stuff. Great book. I'm starting to incorporate a lot of those techniques around my place now. Now here's another thing, and I'm not telling anybody to go do this because it's against the law, and I do not condone anybody breaking any law, local, state, federal, it don't matter. Don't do it. Don't come back and say I told you to do it, because I am not, and I will pull this video when we go to court to prove that I put the disclaimer out there that I do not condone the breaking of any law. I'm just putting this out there as educational and entertainment purposes. But if all hell breaks loose, we're talking about you got riots all over the place. The supply chain has totally broke down. Grocery stores are empty. People have gone berserk crazy. Law and order is totally overwhelmed. They can't do their job. It'll probably be to the point that most law enforcement are going to be like, screw this, I'm staying home, I'm protecting my family, to hell with everybody else. And you can't blame them. I mean, really. Then basically it's going to be every man for himself, and it's going to be whatever you got to do to survive and protect your family. But booby traps will become the favorite topic of the day. And it will range from everything from simple punji traps like was used in Vietnam to more elaborate traps and everything else. At that point in time, you won't have to worry about the law. The law will be too busy trying to get a handle on the situation, or they're going to be too busy worried about their own family and protecting their own property, and they're going to just leave everybody to their own devices and whatever. So, with that being said, think about your strategies. And if you want to, put that in the comments and ask questions about, well, what about this? What about that? I'll answer it the best I can. If I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know, and I'll ask some people that I know that maybe and hopefully can give me the right answer on it. But with that being said, as always, prepare and survive, and stay alert and stay alive.